Dick, you on?
You're up. You're on.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to our June 29th meeting. Everybody please rise and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is correct.
Yeah, they had to have an extension, so that it has to be a 10-year lease, and I know it was recently amended, but this is, again, they're requiring a full 10 years in order to get the grant that they're looking for to make some upgrades to the library, some doors and a bunch of other things they would get paid for. So all we have to do is amend the lease again, just to extend that.
Yep. This is very similar, Roger, to what we did with the Opera House because they needed the exact same thing for their grant opportunities. So
Thank you.
Number 2, resolution approving electric service for 4 streetlights on Madison Street Bridge. That's the project to replace the bridge there, and it's a resolution approving service for National Grid. Any questions or concerns?
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that, but I emailed Tony because I'm surprised that they're putting in not an LED light.
Yeah, that was my question too.
Sodium, the old-fashioned kind of lights.
Yeah,
right?
I had, that's why I had objection to sponsoring this resolution was because of that same issue. And as we were moving forward, looking towards having all of the village lights LED, and these are going to be new lights that, and you would think that in installing new lights, you would go with what we plan on doing in the future.
I would agree.
And that there's ample reasoning for it. The cost savings, the long-term cost savings, the longevity of the light. I mean, it lasts a lot longer. So it just makes sense, instead of putting the 100-watt high-pressure sodium lights, we would go with LEDs. So for that reason, I wasn't going to sponsor it.
Isn't this is a temporary light, right?
Well, this is just to get the electric for the posts, but the county, the plan, because the county's in charge of this, for some reason they're going with the high-pressure sodium lights. They can be swapped out, but why should we put in new lights that we're going to turn around and swap right out? So I have no problem getting the electric grant to it, but I think we ought to check with the county and see, rather than putting these lights in, if we can have LED lights put in instead.
And
If I may interject.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, Roger, remember I called you today? I called the inspector on the job, and he spoke to the engineers for the county. This is not a village project by any means. I concur with all of you. It only makes sense to go with LED. So the inspector on the job, Bill Layden, is going back to the engineers that did this job for the county, CNS Engineering, and I asked them to explore the possibility of going from sodium vapor to LED. Now, originally it was spec'd out by the county engineer firm to match the light fixtures that were put on the Ridley Street Bridge some years ago. So he said that he would check with the engineers and the county to see if there was a way we could not put sodium vapor in, put LED. The whole issue was they were trying to match the original light fixtures that were put in on Ridley Street, which I'm cool with, I get that. But he even said, yeah, you're right, it should be LED. So I'll do my best to get them, to get in touch with you, Tony, and hopefully we can change this out before they do the actual installation of the sodium vapor.
Well, then,
Once
we
again,
need
this
to-
is temporary, right? How
But-
temporary
this
is
is
it?
not temporary, no.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
This is
permanent,
not, this is
permanent.
At the
permanent.
bridge on Madison.
Right.
Right. But so do we need to,
Yes.
do we need to change the way this is worded, or do we need to table it?
Well, Tony, let me ask you, where are they in the project? If we pass a resolution tonight, does that authorize them to put the lights in tomorrow, or do we have time?
No, we have time. They just laid the steel girders down across the bridge spans they've been working on for 2 months. We have time. I mean, my suggestion would be to pass this with a caveat that we prefer LED lampiers, lights. Because
I would table it.
if they don't,
I would feel more comfortable
sorry.
tabling it.
If we have time.
There's no reason to do it now.
Come back with a better.
I don't think, you know, with the intention of, but maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. I don't, I'm
I
not,
mean, if someone there looking at the bulbs tonight, it's a different story.
one person at a time, please. Yeah, I can't hear.
Deck with streetlights.
well, with this, one of the issues is that, when we're changing the streetlights in the village out, we may have to be buying these out from the utility company. And then why would we want to approve to have these put in and just to have to buy them out again in order to install the, you know,
Let's table it.
more efficient system that we plan on going to. And also, there's a lighting, the type of light LEDs put out at night are a better color tone so that they're more visible at night. The visibility is much better at night. So for these reasons, I think we should table it, just so that we have an accurate description without just in case or maybe if they can do it or won't do it. I think it should be spelled out clearly.
I totally agree with you and expressed that concern to the inspector that deals with the engineering firm. So if you want to table it, I'm all in. I think.
Yes, can we get a letter from the mayor to ask?
LED in the village like all of you do. But there again, this whole project was kind of interesting. We weren't involved in this, just kind of like the roundabouts in the last segment before it got started. And we tried to work diligently with the contractors and the engineers, and we've done, you know, wonderfully well working with them, but I think a lot of these projects get thrown in the lap of the village without any participation of the village by engineers, you know, preemptively. But we can make this work, but I think, yes, tabling is smart.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the need to run the electricity so the lights can, you know, be installed, but
Right.
the question is what type of lights, and it has to be clear. Thank you.
Should we have the mayor write a letter, an official letter, asking to please do we need to do that?
I think it would be very helpful. I mean, here's the good news. The actual light poles, if you will, of the structures are already there. I mean, they're going to match Risley Street.
Right.
It's not a big deal just to request, Mayor, that instead of sodium vapor, we want LED. There may be a little bit more cost, but I would think there's a little contingency money in their budget, not ours, to cover that.
Will this be to Mr. Bentley?
Well, you can go to Bentley. The engineers for the project are CNS engineering firm. The contract was awarded through the county to Union Concrete. Union Concrete will only do what they're told to do. So I would definitely call Mr. Bentley and let him work his influence downstream.
That's what I was thinking of doing, was giving Brad Bentley a phone call
Yes.
tomorrow instead of a letter, and talk to him personally and
Right, and the problem is, Fran Propilia, National Grid, can't go forward. Dan, you know how this works, the streetlight resolutions. You gotta provide National Grid with a resolution authorizing, energizing. These are 4 new locations. She probably would be very welcome with a quick resolve to this so that they can provide the energization to the
Yeah, they have to.
4 potential sites.
That's, man, we're going to be billed for the electricity being used, and I'd rather be billed for something that uses less electricity. And that's the reason they.
Amen.
That's
We
why-
all agree,
That's why they want the
yes.
approval to energize something, because it's an additional usage.
Okay, well, we're all in agreement, that's the case, and I will give Mr. Bentley a call tomorrow.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other, I think that's, I resolved that, any other, let's see, resolution number 3. Resolution approving festivals, Fredonia virtual, Fredonia History Days. Any comments or any questions on that?
Is the car parade part of that, or is the car parade something separate?
Don't know, Trustee Britz, would you have any, enlighten us on that?
As far as I know, that's part of it. That's part of the virtual.
So that's the same, it's like the same weekend?
Yeah. It's just authorized, we're allowing them to use our police services to close down the roads for the
Right.
parade to them. And I was part of a video production put together by a couple of members, and we did a trolley virtual ride around, and we did some historical stops along the way, and it's going to be a production that's going to be broadcasted. I think, Chip, are you working with them on that once it's put together? Yeah. So it's going to be, it's really kind of neat.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, went real well.
Okay. Was that answered, Trustee Christina?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Resolution number 4, approving abstract number 531 to pay bills.
Do we never get these abstracts?
Yeah, I just had a discussion with Trustee Pecos. We're going to try to make sure Alyssa gets you guys those abstracts so you have plenty of time to look them over.
Yeah.
And they're available anytime you guys,
Yeah.
you know, that. Jim knows.
I know they're downstairs.
Just pick up a phone and she'll get them whatever you need. And since
Okay,
we're on
any other discussion? Okay. No other resolutions on the agenda, so we'll go to new business. Our fire alarm inspection is happening here, and there was some issues with that have to be taken care of. Everybody see the correspondence with that? Any questions or any comments?
And who's responsible for that, Doug, to make sure that these things are addressed? I see that this report came in several months ago, right?
Yes.
And,
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
no, that's all
interrupt.
right. I just wondered who was responsible to kind of check them off.
Tony, would that be under your purview?
I have not seen that information. I think normally it's fire chief.
Yeah, that's
what I'm
I would think.
It was the last couple of years I've been here.
Okay.
Normally that doesn't come under my purview.
Say it again, Chuck.
We take the sprinkler company around every.
That's always either been handled by the code enforcement officer or DPW. I've never done anything with the fire alarm system there.
Yeah, it's news to me, so I'd be welcome to being enlightened.
Okay.
And then does it come back to you, Chuck, in order to check it off, or?
Clients, yeah. The problem is we've never authorized the funding to get it fixed. So, but every time they do the inspection, they bring us up for it.
Mayor, would you, Chuck said that was sent to you, that list, and then it would be up to you to direct.
Anne Marie has it right now.
Anne Marie probably has now. Then you would direct.
I know we just did it.
Direct your departments to handle that, which would then be in charge of repairs and maintenance of the buildings would be the streets department. Are we offline? Are we off? Are we
Oh,
off?
we're still online.
The sprinkler company
No.
would give a bid what it would cost to get it fixed.
Might have to be, we got a construction fire delivery street.
Did you get all the water bottles, buddy?
So, I
didn't
mean,
lock the truck in.
other than this,
Pretty.
who's speaking?
I'm sorry. I can't.
Other
hear
than
anything.
the sprinkler system, I mean, there are things here, like, things are plugged into extension cords and that kind of stuff.
We did that, yeah, we did that Mary Landis wanted that.
Click the red switch then.
You got
Right
two
there.
reports, one from
Just flick it
September,
off.
one from
The red
January.
switch.
DPW fixed a lot of
Just
it.
flick the red switch.
Okay,
I think Jim Sedona maybe has it with all the fixed too.
okay.
I think a lot of that stuff's done.
Is it,
I just think it's the life safety stuff, the sprinkler system, and the inadequate stuff that's on it. And my only thing is, we're out writing all the businesses, and make them, you know, toe the line on sprinkler systems and fire inspections and the alarm system and stuff. And we really should practice what we preach.
Yes.
I agree.
Absolutely.
So, but I think our alarm system is way outdated. It's gotta be updated and stuff, so and I think there's bids in them, I'm pretty sure.
There is a quote in here
Yeah,
from
pretty sure that's
Davis
it. Yeah.
Ulmer.
Yeah, I thought that, I mean, you could go out to other people and try to get other bids and get it cheaper. Tom Allen, I think, will do some of it, but, Davis Ulmer was the one that we told him to give us a bid and stuff so that we knew what we were dealing with.
They did the inspection.
They do it every 6 months.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, am I under the impression then that this inspection report was given to all the department heads, and each department head should be addressing their issues in their own building and department?
Well, this is the only building that I know that has the sprinkler system in it. And I think everybody else has addressed it, the stuff that we found violations on last year when we did a fire inspection through all the buildings. We were
That's
ordered
true.
to do that. And I know DPW spent a lot of time getting their stuff up to date. The only one that wasn't done was the village hall. But it was a lot more pricier too, with the alarm system and the sprinkler system and stuff, so.
Well, it needs to get done, so I think we should move forward with it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
what's the cutoff for requiring 3 bids? What's the amount?
10,
Is it 5,000 or 10? Anyone know?
I think it was 10,000, wasn't it?
I thought it was
You guys
more than
remember?
that.
I thought
Because
at
this
least 10,
bid
if not
was
more.
7,000.
Right.
10 or 20,
Some
might have,
odd,
we might
do
have
we
bumped
need
up
to
to
go out?
20. I
That's
don't
what I'm
remember.
wondering. Are we required?
You have to get at least 2 quotes. If it's, more than 3, less than 9,999, right, Dan? And then over that, public works projects can go 30 grand. But, you should get at least 2 quotes for something of that volume of money, I think.
Want me to run it?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, let's get another quote.
Public, I was just double checking that, public works projects, as long as they're under 30.
I'd ask that we put a resolution to have them do the work that needs to be done.
Dan, can we have a resolution for the next meeting to have that done?
It's under that price that you said, under 35,000, so.
It's 70.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that, no.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's do that next meeting.
Let's do that next meeting. Guess we better
And that
check.
kind of ties into the next fire sprinkler deficiency connections to the Opera House improvements. They're going to be doing improvements on their deficiencies with their sprinkler system within the Opera House, and I guess that would be the perfect time for us to ours as well. That kind of, the next new business thing ties in with that. That's what that's all about.
Mhm.
From the Family Martial Arts Center. Anne Marie, do you want to read that, please?
Sure.
What's going on?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
I'm writing you with a suggestion for a memorial or acknowledgement statue or anything of remembrance for a Fredonia native, John F. Joy. John Joy grew up on Eagle Street and was born in 1931. John was a Broadway star and is best known as the first Pinocchio. John has a prestigious past of television, movie, Broadway, Carnegie Hall, Dr. Joy for education at Texas A&M, Buffalo State College, and many other successful ventures. John lost an Emmy to Gene Kelly, and what an honor that was, he stated. John Joy also volunteered at the Fredonia School decades ago with his own production company titled Dr. Joy's Young Company. He taught several students to train in acting, musical education, and many other aspects in theater industry. Fredonia has many hidden success stories, and this is one. I'm providing a recent local newspaper article, which ran a few weeks ago, about John. He had just celebrated his 89th birthday on May 31st, 2020. Russell Joy Park is named after John's uncle. The legacy continues. I am part of John's life since I was a baby. My grandmother wrote all the amazing music which we all know today with Disney. John performed. I see and take care of John daily and never stop being excited hearing his wonderful stories. Please consider my suggestion. If there is any further information you request, please call me at 680-1121. There is also a huge front page article last year with deeper details in reference to John and his past and present. Thank you for your time, Bill Ness.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on that? Okay, we'll move forward. New business, Fredonia Farmers Market. There's some correspondence where they would like to move locations, I guess, during the construction process here of Parker Commons. Do you have any comment or any questions on that?
Where do they want to move it to?
Over to the West Parker Commons. I believe I had some conversation with Trustee Britz on this last night, and do you think the parking lot, if this is a problem here, the parking lot on Water Street, the municipal lot would be a possible alternate location instead of next door in the West Parker Commons, or?
I think that'd be a great alternate.
That's a great spot.
The Water Street parking lot. You know, we chip sealed it last year. It's in beautiful shape. It's hardly used right now with the college kids gone. Just my suggestion. Because they're gonna be working at both parks in parallel, the contractors. My thought is, that even if you move it to the west side now, at some point that might be problematic when they move more of their equipment over there in the next phase, but I'll leave that up to you folks. It's better than where it is right now,
It's a
obviously.
conversation we need to be having with.
But
those
Water
people.
Street would be a great secondary spot through the course of the construction.
I think we should suggest that they use that parking lot so that they're not changing again, and that they use it for the remainder of the year, their season, because Tony's right. I mean, I suggested that they contact the churches over there, but still, if they're going to work in the park on the other side simultaneously, they're just gonna have to relocate. And it really does cut off the church's access to their
Well, they
parking
need to
lots
be
and
part of this
driveway.
conversation. though. I think,
Absolutely.
You know, we
Well,
need to-
if we don't have to worry about that, if we move it to,
Right.
that, Mr. Britz's suggestion,
Did you talk to Pete by any chance?
I did not, I didn't have an opportunity.
if they would
but-
agree to it, I think that would solve the
Do
issue
they
for the
need
remainder
power?
of the year.
Do they need electrical?
Or
They
at
do
least,
have power, they do need power. 'Cause
That's why
it-
I'm wondering if maybe that
Oh.
won't
That
work
might be the
over there.
only problem, because there's no power there, I don't
Right.
think.
And
That's
where
what I
will
was
they get
wondering.
it over
Vendors
there?
need power.
There's a meat
Because
guy
they have them.
that has to plug in.
Can he use a generator?
Because they always run it across the sidewalk and plug it into the village hall.
can they use,
That's the thing. And the other
Hey,
thing
one
is,
person at a time speaking, please.
sorry.
sorry,
The other thing is, I mean, I don't know, we'd have to ask them how they feel about it. I don't think it's a bad suggestion, I kind of like it over there, but power is I think might be a concern, and visibility.
They could use generators too.
right.
People can't see you when you drive by.
Is there,
I don't want to talk over anybody because it's hard for them to follow along, but the conversation was during the pre-construction meeting that we had at the park that night. We discussed certain things that the contractors are going to be doing, moving equipment, setting equipment over the weekends and things, and I think one of the conversation was, I was more concerned of the church having equipment parked out there on the weekends that would block church parking and allow that. So if we tie it in again with the construction and the way things are moving around here, I brought up the suggestion of possibly moving it down to the Water Street location. Being a larger location, having shading areas, things of that sort, our part of the village could offer them a little additional advertising of some kind to help push people down to that direction. I thought that would kind of help them maybe organize themselves down there. And I think once word gets out where they are, and with some decent advertising, I don't think they're gonna have an issue getting their customers down there. I don't know, Tony, you can chime in a little bit. Is there a pole down there that has a light that we could put in a box or a meter?
or is there already?
I think, I'm just trying to visualize it, I think that without the current source of power, that would require a drop from National Grid electrical drop to install a,
Transformer.
not a transformer, but, you know, like a, you might need a transfer. The bottom line is, if you did that, yes, it would require petitioning National Grid, it would petition, it would cost several $1,000s at least to put a permanent drop in. If you did a temporary drop, if they would be amenable to that, it might be less expensive. I think because this project isn't gonna be that long, in reality, it's 2-3 months. A generator's a less expensive solution, because you're only gonna need to power it up one day a week,
Right,
For a few hours.
right.
you know?
4 hours.
And
Well,
Beck Electric, or whoever you choose, Tilburg, whatever, you could get a portable generator down there.
Well,
I don't know who would pay for it, I don't know if they have the money, if it comes out of village funds,
I mean,
but
maybe they have their own, I don't know.
again,
maybe they do. I mean, how many people really run power at that thing other than the food court people?
you know, maybe as a future project, if we decide to take a look at it and run power down there, we could utilize
Yeah,
that parking
great,
lot for
great.
Festivals Fredonia, we could utilize it for
It's a
other
great-
activities. You know, now we can offer a municipal lot with power that would maybe kind of utilize that area a little bit more.
It's really an underutilized area of the
really
village
is,
that
yeah.
could be,
During the summer months when the college students are gone.
Right.
Yeah.
But
well,
for
even in the
now,
winter, there's not that many students parking there.
but for now, I think they could make do, and I mean, it'd be a much safer location for everyone, with the
I
circumstances
agree. I agree. You know,
overall.
Traffic wise
And if they would, agree to it, I think it's for overall for the village, it's a much safer environment for that, at least temporarily, and once, soon as the park is done, there's no reason they couldn't come back, even if it's,
Correct.
So can we offer that, are we in agreement that we would offer that to the Farm Festival to use that parking lot rather than?
Farmer's market.
The farmer's market, I'm sorry, to use that parking lot rather than the other side of,
I would feel safer, tell you the truth, I think it'd be a
everyone in
great
agreement with
opportunity.
that?
Does that require a resolution or?
Yes,
Does it?
yes.
Well, it
think
would,
so.
but if,
Yes.
we have to
Anything
find out if they
utilize
agree to
our-
it.
Right, I mean, we
But
can.
anything that has to
do it for
utilize
next
our
time.
property.
Now,
Do
what
you
if-
wanna reach out to someone on the
Yeah, I
board
think we
and
have a
offer
letter,
that
I
as a
think we have a letter
suggestion?
from the original resolution when they wanted to use authorization of Church Street, we could reach out to that person and talk to them.
And so Dan Guard, that would require another resolution too at the next meeting. That-
Yes, that's correct.
That we would offer them usage of the Water Street parking lot.
Yeah.
The lot's big enough for that, because you have all their own parking too, or
Yeah.
Right.
all the customers can park right there instead of trying to
Right.
find a parking
That's
spot
true.
here.
You know, if it works out, if they did that temporarily, and you put the caveat out to the vendors, some of those vendors don't require a lot of electrical. They could get their own portable generators if they choose, not that we would make them. But if it turned out to be more popular than blocking streets off every week, you know, the village might want to consider a pavilion down there towards the creek edge,
That's-
where you would
that's kinda
house
where I
them
was
under a pavilion like Duncan did for many years. Just a thought.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for us to utilize that space for other things.
Right.
Okay.
Very good. Trustee Britch, you will do that, please?
Sure, not a problem, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other new business?
Mayor, I presented you a letter from the fire department volunteers. If you get an opportunity, could you read that as part of new business?
Absolutely, I can do that right now. Stated June 29th, 2020, dear Mayor and Board, a unique opportunity is presenting itself to the village. Larry Barter is going in as president of the Southwestern Association of Volunteer Firefighters. August 2021, Larry will end his term as president. As part of his leaving the office of the village, the village will be able to host fire departments in Erie, Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, and Allegheny counties for a 3-day convention, August 5, 6, and 7. The Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department has approved this convention and is asking for your permission to hold the convention. The plans are progressing and intend to have similar events to the convention we hosted for Tony Faso in 2009. We are asking for Water Street to be closed from Main to Norton Place on Friday evening of the convention, as was done in 2009. The comic parade would be down Temple Street and disband on Water Street. The grand parade would be from Prospect Street down Main Street disbanding at the fire hall. Other events are in the planning stages. We will be working with Police Chief Phil Maslock and Fire Chief Ryan Walker to make sure we have a safe convention. In addition to seeking permission, we're asking Mayor Essick or a board member attend this year's Southwestern meeting on August 8th in West Valley, New York, to invite the association to Fredonia next year. Not available, a letter Larry or I could read inviting the association would be welcome. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Julius Leon, President of the Fredonia Volunteer Fire Department. Would, I guess, just going forward here, one of our fire department liaisons be interested in possibly going to that meeting at the West Valley on August 8th.
Well, I'd like to have a little discussion with the board too, to kind of fill you in on what they're asking.
Yeah.
This convention will be next year in August.
Right.
But what it is they want to be able to present to the board their recommendation to have Fredonia host it at this upcoming August meeting. So we don't really need a lot of resolutions passed yet. They're going to get more details on times and locations and things. But I think what the fire department is looking for is our permission to have this at our village in August of '21. And it's kind of set up the same way as it did in 2009.
Right.
So.
Now, are they also asking for permission for Larry to go to this meeting on August? Is that?
Yeah, I think the president, I think he attends.
There's
usually a resolution, huh?
There's usually a group that goes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then the reason we have a resolution is because of the insurance that
Right.
covers along the way. So I think there has to be a resolution to approve them going to
The convention.
to this meeting.
Yeah, in August.
On August 8th
Right,
of
so
this
we'll do it
year.
next month.
Right.
So then, all that could then be prepared for us to agree to have host the convention next August.
Correct.
Okay, so that's what you would need a resolution for?
Yeah.
For probably the next meeting.
Yeah, they would like one as soon as possible so they can start planning their presentation at the August meeting.
So we'll need that for the next meeting.
I think it's a great opportunity for our village. It was quite a large, I did talk to Larry this afternoon, and in attendance from the last convention, there were over 500 people came to visit our village, utilized our restaurants and our bars, and shopped in our shops. So
That's a nice thing.
I think it's a great opportunity for our
And what
village
will
to
they
kind of
do
shine,
in
especially with the
West
new park. When the park's all done, it'd be an opportunity to showcase our park.
Right.
So this is just a trip, just a day trip there. There's no place, that's just a.
I don't have the details on that,
Yeah.
but yes. But I think what they're looking for is just our blessing to allow them to have this convention next year.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
Sounds good.
they'll need that
this-
information.
But she's asking about the trip to go to this meeting to find about all this on August 8th. That's just a day trip?
I don't know.
I assume that's probably, this is pretty standard,
West
where
Valley, I
somebody
used to
from
commute to it every day.
somebody from next year is,
Gotcha, okay.
they welcome or invite
Yeah.
you to come to Fredonia to enjoy our village.
So
And again,
Usually
I
we try to have somebody from the village do that, welcome them for next year.
I can get the resolution together and get the details, so when we present it, if you have any questions during the workshop session, that would be part of the resolution when we present it for the trip and.
Gotcha, okay,
How's that sound? Good?
yep.
Trustees, I assume the fire department would submit a letter of intent coming up here probably shortly for their members to attend that August 8th meeting, so I
Yeah,
would
they should.
assume that would be
Yeah.
coming up in the next meeting, so that's what we'd have to wait for.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any other new business?
I have something I'd like to pose to the mayor and board.
Okay.
I put in a couple purchase orders recently to consider the possibility of redoing the village hall parking lot, especially now when there's no traffic, relatively speaking. We would buy the material. I won't mention the contractor. We have a price to lease a paver and a micro miller. We can do that whole project with budgetary funds in my regular balance account of street improvements for less than $17,000. Something to consider while we take advantage, hopefully take advantage of the COVID decreasing traffic. I know we're trying to save money, we all have that. But just consider it. I don't need an answer tonight. I'm throwing it out there. The parking lot's a mess. It's a perennial problem. It's a trip hazard here, there, and everywhere. So even if you talk amongst yourselves in private and let me know if you want me to go forward in that, and approve purchase orders that Alyssa has, they're all very well documented. I only have one contract that responded that could let me have that equipment for a couple days, but that's all. I just want to throw it out there.
Tony, you said you could cover this in your budget?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Under capital projects?
Oh, under my regular streets line, streets improvements.
Is there any further discussion?
I put the budget number, the budget number on the purchase orders. It might have been capital, it might have been regular, but there's plenty of money there without going to capital.
Wouldn't the parking lot be moved to a capital project? I would think that'd be considered a capital project. And then,
It is. I mean, I don't have the account numbers in front of me because I wrote the purchase orders over 6 weeks ago.
I think you're right.
But if you check with Alyssa, I put my suggestion there for where it could come. But we've stopped everything as far as big projects, Central Avenue, all that. Because we all know we're going to have to deal with a financial challenge.
But I mean, that would be nothing more than a transfer, so.
Yes, that's what I was saying. So we would basically transfer money from streets to capital and then pay it out of capital? Is that-
Right, correct. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there again, check with Alyssa.
She will help us.
You guys can play that any way you want, but I think it'd be a wonderful opportunity. It would be something positive come out of a very negative, challenging situation.
Okay. And as you said, it does need it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it does. Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business? Okay, we'll move to old business then. One, Paul's Rocket Stove scavenger hunt slated for Saturday, August 22nd. It was recently discussed.
I reached out to Paul, Mayor. I called him and he discussed with me the best day would be the 22nd. He doesn't necessarily need the pavilion, but he would like to not have it rented that day because it would just be in the way of the scavenger hunt.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this, trustees?
Do we know if the pavilions are rented? You'd have to check.
It's not rented on the 22nd of August, no.
Okay.
And not the upper pavilion. He was interested in the upper section of Russell Joy.
Here's another question, board. Is Phil on?
I am.
What do we do on restrooms, Phil, at Russell Joy? We currently have them closed down.
Correct.
Do you want me to unlock them or do you want to wait? Or I don't, either way, I'm fine either way.
Are we using the pavilions currently, Tony? I'm not aware of it.
I'm not aware of it either.
No.
Not yet.
I think we're waiting for phase 4 and whatever phase of phase 4 allows us to do that. And then also, I know in discussions with Tom Battaglia, a lot of it's going to depend on what the requirements are as far as cleaning and sanitizing, and are we going to have the personnel to be able to even do that? So I guess we're right now in kind of limbo waiting to see what the requirements are when they come out.
And I think we also have to be careful because they are being used. I've been in the park twice and the lower pavilion had 30 people in it with that many cars. And I know that, the reservations aren't being honored, but they are being used. And I know as far as the bathrooms go, I know that the tennis courts are open. Do they use them for that?
No, the restrooms aren't open.
Okay. May I offer a suggestion? My counterparts in Dunkirk were going through the same thing because they have not brought back any part-timers at all. So down at the pier, and like at Russell Joy, instead of opening up the bathrooms where we have to go in and sanitize them with limited manpower or to avoid overtime, consider possibly a portable toilet at the lower pavilion and an upper pavilion. I think the cost would be much less than the labor involved for us to do a proper
Right.
sanitation.
How do you sanitize it?
They still
Still
have
has
to
to be
sanitize.
cleaned.
It's the same.
It would be a service through a porta potty company.
Right.
But we'd have to pay, I mean, we'd
Right.
have to pay for that.
But if you look
so
at the
we might
cost
as
of
well
our
sanitize.
manpower compared to a porta potty service,
Right.
would there be a cost savings? And still be able to provide a service to the public?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I think porta potties are normally like $90 a week for once a week dump and sanitation and restocking, or maybe twice a week. Roger Gloss, whomever.
Right.
How many times
But
a
the cost
day?
of labor,
They're gonna be
Which-
sanitized daily.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
all
they
right.
gotta be sanitized daily.
Well,
So
again, I think right now, on the safe side, we should just keep them closed.
Yeah.
that's fine with me. I just throwing it out there. People start asking you about the facilities.
Yeah, I think people are kind of aware of what's going on too, so
People who have
unfortunately, we're
office
just gonna have to keep
visitors
those
need
facilities
to look on
closed.
this.
That makes my life easier.
Okay, phase 4, guys, should be, coming out tomorrow. And that would include, low-risk outdoor and low-risk indoor arts and entertainment and, that sort of thing. So maybe there'll be more, information tomorrow and moving forward on that. So you have to follow guidelines from the state regardless of what we want to do. And, those guidelines will be out possibly tomorrow. So let's kind of stay tuned on that and we'll follow those guidelines. And if they allow us to either have porta potties or open up our bathrooms, and we'll do that. Does that sound reasonable?
So are we,
Mayor,
sort of.
if you could just reemphasize the wearing of the masks and that it is an executive order and required. You know, rather than start enforcing it, I'd rather just have people start complying more often than not.
Again, we remind all our citizens to follow the safe practices during this COVID-19 pandemic, and that includes the wearing of face coverings when you're within 6 feet of somebody else, and safe distancing of staying 6 feet away from the. Please follow these guidelines from the state and practice safe distancing and wearing face coverings when you're in close proximity to other people. And that in itself, with washing hands, should solve about 90% of our problems being contaminated.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
as Chief Majlak mentioned, it being an executive order for the wearing of face masks and stuff, and we are not fully open as far as the state or county allows us. Are we still under the COVID-19 emergency declaration? And if we're not currently under it, should we still be? And I would ask that you actually declare that we are, because there are so many stipulations still in place and required. But it also gives you the opportunity to use your powers as mayor to enforce those regulations with the mask wearing, and such as even Don stated that there's people using our parks that are beyond the allowed amount of numbers that are coming together. It gives us a little more strength in that, but also gives us the ability to collect on losses with the fundings from the state and federal government that we might be losing out on. I mean, even to as small of revenue as from the parks that we're not renting out. These are fundings that we're losing due to the COVID-19. So I would ask that you reinstate the emergency declaration and leave it continually on. You don't have to have it separate from the county or state. You can declare it because we still are in emergency. So I would ask that you do that, and maybe that the board would then agree with me. I think that would be a good idea because it doesn't hurt to have it on.
Right now, Trustee Linden, we have incurred no major losses. The state of emergency that I had extended one time had been discontinued. We are covered under all these losses if we so incur, and be very well understand that the losses that are reimbursed by FEMA and so forth and so on are very specific. So every little loss, that everything that you are asking and thinking that we're going to be reimbursed for if I declare another state of emergency can also be covered by the umbrella emergency declaration from the county. I discontinued it because we were not having any emergency situations where I'd have to make any major decisions to forego any procedures or anything like that. So at this moment, I personally don't see a need. Attorney Guard, you were part of a webinar in regards to all these things. I believe we are covered financially under the umbrella of the county, and unless something drastically occurs here in the village to create an emergency, I don't see a need to continue or to start another state of emergency.
Yes, that's correct, Mayor, based on what we're told so far.
Trustee Linden, would that clarify that a little bit better for you? We are covered under things right now, and unless we
I sometimes have concern of whether the county can watch over everything that we do within our village, and that they would be ultimately responsible for all of our needs. It's the village government that really watches out for itself, and then it sends that information to the county. So I would think that by staying under that state of emergency, I think it would just enforce everything and all our abilities to collect where and when we can. I mean, it just doesn't hurt. I mean, I don't see where it would hurt anything. I mean, the whole country, matter of fact, the whole country is under a resurgence. Yes, fortunately, our county has been doing very well, but that doesn't mean it will continue. I know, as I said, as far as helping our community, enforcing these regulations, I've seen a lot of people wear it without masks, as Chief Mazurek has stated. And by keeping that statement of emergency, it helps reinforce that ability for the public to understand that this is still a reality and a real thing. That that people need to listen to the village government and take care of these safety precautions. There's a lot of businesses out there that are struggling, and they're trying to stay within those state regulations of keeping their customers safe and healthy. But I'd like to make sure that that continues in a safe manner through this whole thing, and so we could come through it quickly. It's a lot easier to like I said, make it an official order, and then to have everybody just wondering or think, well, maybe we can, maybe we can't. So, but thank you.
Trustee Linden, the local municipalities are responsible for enforcement.
Right.
When complaints get called into the state, they get kicked down to the county, and the county kicks those down to the local municipalities that have police agencies to take care of those. Mm-hmm. But as far as all the other things, Attorney Guard, we are covered, correct, under the county and the state as far as all the other things. And, I just want to, it's a fine line of, I don't want to give anybody the impression that we're under a military state or anything like that, but people need to use common sense. We need to follow the proper guidelines that have been instructed by the state, the CDC, and OSHA, and follow those. Other than that, we are, like I said, responsible for enforcing the guidelines set by the state, so that's something that we need to do. Attorney Guard?
As I said before, Jim, none of the things that come down in the executive orders, while we are charged with enforcement, none of them are influenced by a local declaration. The bottom line with this is that it's the state executive orders that we're trying to enforce, and nothing we could do locally would help out with that. We just need to enforce the state executive orders as they come down, as difficult as that may be.
And just so everybody knows, as we've been moving forward doing our fire inspections, we are inspecting for the executive orders, and we're making sure that people do have their masks on when we're in the businesses. And I've already had to call the state on one business who just wouldn't comply, and I think they did reach out to the chief. I was hoping that the state police would have done it and not our own departments. But when we do the fire inspections, we're making sure they're 6 feet apart, tables, stuff like that. Or we're not giving them their fire inspection, and we will write them up under the executive order. I think most towns are. I know Clarence is doing. I think that's what the governor wanted was, and when I sat in at the one county executive meeting, that's kind of what they said that code enforcement was going to, play a big part in it. So we just took the initiative as we do our fire inspections, and we're checking for compliance with the executive orders.
Okay, good.
Okay, let's move forward. Under old business number 2, Candy Creek Waste Dumping, LEWPA. Apparently that was somebody.
I included that because I heard from the resident again. Trustee Christina, I think you were contacted last time we talked about this. But I heard from her again, and she offered to contact LUPA, Lake Erie Watershed Protection Alliance, and get brochures that she said we can pass out. I just wanted to make that known to the board.
Any discussion from the board?
Chuck, you said you were going to contact someone.
I did call the enforcement part of the DEC and lodged a complaint just for them to actually if they can, we don't have a name, so they weren't too enthused. If we can get a name or something, they certainly would come out and investigate. But I did call the enforcement line.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
Can we back up for a minute? Does Paul's Rocket Stoves, does it need a resolution to use Russell Joy for the scavenger hunt?
And does he need insurance?
Yes.
Correct. I believe from last meeting's discussion, the board didn't see a need to pass a resolution as far as I can remember. So, this is something you would like to do now, then.
I mean,
Well, do we need
can't
it?
anybody pretty much use the park?
Right.
The only thing at this point, we don't know what phase of open the park's going to be. There may not be bathrooms. There may not be pavilion use. There, which means they won't be cleaned. So that's how I was going to ask the same question. I'm glad you did. Where are we at, or are we holding off to see what happens with phase 4?
Maybe we should.
We have a little time. It's not till the end of August, but should we wait until after phase 4, like Roger said, to, say yes or no? And is there a proof of insurance?
Wait, do we need it?
Do we need it?
I guess Dan, that would be a question for Dan.
Vanguard, do we need it?
I don't know. Can anybody use the park for anything if the park's open?
Pretty much.
So he can just do it without even discussing it with us.
It's like holding a
It's
baseball
like
game
having a
there.
grad party and you throw out a scavenger hunt.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
So he's renting a pavilion and he's having a little get-together.
Right.
So
But he's
again, I
doing it
think
under
we
his
should fall
business.
back on the way the state falls into our, different classifications of how we should open things. So again, we've got some time.
Yeah.
So is it the board's intention to wait until we get more guidance from phase 4?
Yes.
Yes.
I think we have to.
Point.
Keep it on the old business
Facilities aren't
agenda
really open.
for next meeting.
Yep. One thing I wanted to add about the Canada Creek dumping, obviously everyone knows I live at the end of Hart Street, and for years people have dumped product into the creek. And if I can remember back about 4 or 5 years ago, the DEC did come down through and knock on everybody's door and left brochures stating that anyone caught dumping waste into the creek would be fined. So I
Maybe
do
time
know.
again.
Yeah, well, again, this is a situation where.
Well,
Chuck
according
was,
to-
Chuck was going to call the DEC. You did.
He did. Yeah, I guess what they're looking for is more specific, but I think if they kind of went back through and knocked on doors to, notify residents that this is, an illegal practice.
In the letter, I think she said she was concerned that almost everybody along the creek seemed to be doing it.
And Forest Place,
So,
yeah, it was
so maybe it would be a
walking
good idea for them to go back through and just remind people.
And that's a DEC law. So
Okay.
again, it's not, I
Right,
mean,
it's
we
not-
have dumping laws in the village,
Right.
correct? So, I mean, people just can't dump anywhere.
No. Right.
So again, this is more of a watershed issue.
So if she calls me back, what would you like me to tell her?
We could use the brochures, but I would tell her that the DEC has been contacted
Okay,
and that
Thank you.
they are involved.
thank you.
All right, folks, is there any other old business?
I've got a couple of quick things. Last meeting, I gave you guys some information regarding the website. I sent you a link that my son and I have been working on a new website. I don't know if you had an opportunity to click on that link and
Looked at it.
have any questions or comments, or did you get a chance to kind of breeze through it and see how you guys are liking the format? I'd like to kind of keep pushing forward on that, and I was hoping to get some input from you guys if you happen to take a look at that link.
Yeah, I did look at it.
Would you send it to me again? I've had computer issues.
Yes. Jim, did you get a chance to click on it or take a quick browse through it?
I didn't get a
Okay.
chance to.
I
You
totally
didn't
forgot
either.
about it, but I
Okay,
will.
great. We're not doing our homework.
I looked at it.
Thank you. What, Kara, did you get an
Thought
opportunity?
it was very clean.
Yes.
Which it was very easy to navigate and find things. Can we add, I mean, obviously, this is just a prototype. I'd like to
Yes.
maybe we could add a link to the farmer's market and some other things.
I was looking at more having you guys look at the way the format was set
Yeah,
up.
I thought
It was very easy. It was
right,
very
it was very easy and very
navigable,
clean.
right.
Yes.
That's what I was kind of hoping it would.
Yeah.
As for the content, we're going to
We can
obviously
work on
add
that,
in
yeah.
all the
Right.
different features like that with festivals and the farmer's
Sure.
market.
Yeah.
So again, I just wanted you to kind of see the flow, so it's real easy to use. The other thing I have under old business was I submitted some information, or I left you guys some information in your boxes regarding the link that I would like to use as our online payment processor. It was like a list of
Yep.
what they had available, the service they provide, and some of the costs that are going to be involved with us using this online payment processor. So I was hoping to get some input from you guys.
I did see that, and having a business that also uses credit cards, those prices were pretty high.
I said that too.
And I think that we should shop it around. I
Well-
also think that some of the local banks are offering opportunities to do online stuff.
And I agree with you. And the thing with this processor, though, we have to see if there's a linkable, how do I put this? If they offer the software program that's linkable through the website. I
Right.
mean, some places offer credit card processing.
Right.
Obviously, I own a business too,
Yeah.
but it's not a service that provides a link. Now, the other thing too is when I gave him the specifics of what we're going to be utilizing the service for, online payments from, I asked the DPW, I talked to Chuck, I talked to the police chief and the fire chief. I mean, is there things that you guys would see as a tab that they could click to? And so again, as we get more features and more revenue, the price comes down. So again, this was just a generic, I threw out a number at them, and again, this was just a service. I wanted you to see what was offered. Mayville, Village of Mayville uses this service. A couple other local municipalities use this exact bill pay service. If you go on Mayville's website, you can see that you can click on the link, and the link opens up to different links to allow you to pay for different things. So again, it's a package deal that allows them to utilize that service plus the fees of the processing.
Well, and you might, I would suggest that we talk with the town of Pomfret because they already have online payments.
Right.
And they have online water payments. So they need to be compatible. I mean, it's the same water billing. We're using the same water billing. So I'd be curious as to what they're using and have been using for quite some time that is compatible to the water program that we currently have.
Yeah, it's more of it's a credit card processing.
Yes.
Is what I'm looking for.
Right.
And again, it's that website-based, easy access, clickable link. But yes, we can talk to Town of Pomfret. I already reached out to Westfield to see, their processor.
Yeah.
And again, the fees are negotiable.
Right.
Based on how many different options you have and
Right.
different things that you want to pay for. If it's just a one water bill thing, or if it's a, dog license, or if it's a pavilion rental, once you start building up all these, more. The other end of it is this company also ties their software eventually into our software program in our Treasury Department, in our, what's the word I'm looking for?
Right.
Yeah, or Alyssa's programming. So a lot of that can be tied in eventually, so that the payment will be processed through each of the departments, through, our treasurer, and help
Which
us
is
just kind of
QuickBooks,
streamline
right.
a lot of the stuff that we have. So I just wanted to get that out there and get that in front of you guys, because I know getting that website up and running and having online payments is pretty important, so. I know we've been dragging it along for a while, so.
Yeah.
And what do the judges, I think the courts can pay.
Yeah,
I was wondering if you get like a
what do
traffic
they
ticket or
use?
something, you could,
Correct.
What are they using? Because I think you can pay online.
Yeah, I thought so too.
And already, so I would check with what our own courts are using, because they are already doing it.
And typically, the customer that wants that service would pay the
fee.
fee, whatever it is. We have to
Yeah.
add it to, like, for a building permit.
That's exactly
We
right.
would just have to add it to it, because that's how it was in my previous life.
Yep.
We collected taxes and stuff,
Yep.
and they were able to use a credit card. But if it was 3 or 4 cents, they paid it. They had to pay it.
Yeah.
So
for the, you pay for
That
the
covers the
yeah,
convenience.
That's
it
good.
shouldn't cost us anything.
No.
Right. Okay, that'd be good.
I just wanted to throw, I just wanted some input so I can get back to them. They've been kind of sending me emails.
Thank you for
and updates
doing
and
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot
Yeah,
of calls
putting that
for
together.
a lot of the contractors want to be able to pay, especially right now with,
Sure.
us
Yeah.
being locked down. A lot of people want to pay by credit cards. It just makes it easier.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, trustee Fritz. Anything more?
I had just one more question is, if Fire Chief Walker is still on, I was wondering where we're at with,
He went to
he's
the
not
fire.
on? Oh, Mayor, maybe you would be able to know this, is where we're at with the repairs to the building at the fire hall at this point, because now that the
gonna ask the same
construction season is enacted again, so that we could get work done after this COVID-19 thing. I was just wondering where we are.
Jim, it's Dan, if I may. We had a few issues with the contract, the way it was written. I kicked it back to the contractor. They asked me to rewrite it. I did. I sent that over by email, so now we're just waiting for a response.
Did they have a timeline on that response?
No.
I know, because, I mean, there was so many delays over the past couple of years here that was an issue. Last year was the many delays, and then we got out of the construction season, then we ended up having to go to the next year. I'd really like to know that we could get this done soon.
We've had great
I
weather.
know that they
great
were
weather.
eager to start the project.
They were what? I couldn't hear you.
I know they were eager to start the project.
Right.
So don't imagine there'll be too much delay.
Okay, if we don't hear from them soon, can somebody contact them?
Sure, I will.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
I have a couple updates for the village residents and the board, if I may.
Go ahead.
Because of the fact that there's a lot of teleconference calls with the county, the highway superintendents and so forth, CHIPS funding looks like it's gonna be cut 20 to 25%. So I have delayed finishing the Central Avenue project this year. Oil and stone, I was gonna have the county do the oil and stone, but they are not doing it because they were not back to 100% workforce until I believe last week. In the spirit of trying to be fiscally responsible and not front money out there out of my budget to CHIPS, before I knew that we were gonna get totally reimbursed or close to that, my focus has been on catching up on basic street department maintenance. As you all know, the the first 6 weeks since I got my guys back, we were dealing with, unfortunately, major water challenges in several areas of the village, which I think we did a great job on. So right now my focus is on, I'm gonna put press release out Thursday. We're gonna do a brush pickup for July starting 6th. We're out patching roads right now, hot patching. The parks look great with, even though I've only got 2 people working on them. And I would admonish the public again to please continue, as they've been wonderful on for the most part, not dumping brush off the street park. Leaves and grass only. It's amazing how well the people have complied with us. And now with a new fiber optic feed that you people resoluted several months ago to let DFT upgrade our ability to view the new cameras that went there and security around our yard, we now have a much better capability to catch people dumping illegally. Chief Oslak and I talked. I am more than willing to ask him to write a ticket to someone dumping illegally if we catch them on video or in person. That's a strong message to send out that way, instead of paying thousands of dollars to have somebody come in and tub grind your yard up brush. So thank you, resident. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Tony. That's a very good reminder to our residents. The DPW yard, like you said, is only for grass and yard clippings. It's not for brush. We do have security cameras there that we will prosecute if we have to. The people who are illegally dumping, and we don't want that to happen. So please don't be that person, but if you are, we'll be prosecuted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other old business? We'll start our Board of Trustees regular meeting. A regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 29th day of June, 2020, 6:39 p.m. via video conferencing in Fredonia, New York. Public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at this meeting have read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees regular meeting of June 15th, 2020. Now therefore be it resolved, this board approves the minutes as entered into the official minutes, and be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
I'll second that.
Motion is second and further discussion. Trustee Dina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Fritz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
This portion of the meeting is for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to comment shall submit their public statement or question by email to Fredonia Village Clerk at netsync.net no later than 4 p.m. Monday, June 29th, 2020. Such comments will be read during the public portion of the video conference. I will ask that the comments refrain from remarks that are in poor taste, slanderous, or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by the board. I received 3. The first one, hello, I am writing again to you today to discuss your current meeting policies, specifically the public portion of your meetings. First, I want to commend your efforts to respond to the current crisis by ensuring there is a method for the public to have access to viewing your meetings and establishing a way for the public to participate via email. That was a great step in the right direction, and I hope that emailing will continue to be one of the ways the public can participate. It is now clear that many members of the public will need to do their best to social distance for a long time moving forward. For many, attending village meetings in person would be an unnecessary risk, despite the fact that they may have important concerns or wish to express their position verbally or through physical attendance. I would like to suggest additional accommodations to members of the public. For a while now, you have been meeting with a workshop session, which is immediately followed by a trustee meeting. There are often things that occur or come up during the workshop that either were not on the agenda or is important information that may or may not have been previously available to the board or the public, as is the case when you discuss matters with department heads or receive a presentation or proposal. Many questions are potentially generated during the workshop session, which the public has no opportunity to respond to until the next meeting, when frequently the point is moot. If you would be willing, I think it would be good policy to have a way for the public to call or video conference into the meeting to have the chance to voice their opinion and make suggestions during the public portion of the meeting, since it is impractical to be in attendance. Moving forward, I think this would be great for members of our community to be able to engage with our public boards, trustee, planning, and zoning, who may otherwise, for any number of reasons, be unable to attend in person. Thank you, David Friedman.
Thank you. And if any of the trustees would like to comment on that, I'd just ask them to maybe wait until you have your trustees report. Is there any other correspondence?
I have two more emails. Hello, I'm writing to ask if you have any discussions about the village budget. Specifically, what is the plan to deal with the sales tax shortfall and the possibility of a loss of property tax with no immediate remuneration from the county? Additionally, it seems there is a real possibility of a major reduction of in-person returning students to SUNY Fredonia in the fall. That means less rental revenue for landlords and a major shortfall for local businesses, as well as continued losses for our water and wastewater treatment budget. These are but a few of the growing and immediate problems facing our community, and I would like to know what the board is doing to address these issues. In meetings recently, there has already been some brief mentions about looking at and cutting the budget, but I wonder if there are not some other possibilities that we can look at to ensure the existing level of service is not reduced to address what I hope is a temporary, although lengthy, problem. Is there emergency funding available? Can we issue a bond to tide us over until the pandemic is behind us? Maybe there are steps like the Barker Commons improvement where we invested in our future that can help our village down the road. What other possibilities are out there so that we are not looking at this just for the next few months and instead take action to ensure our long-term future? Thank you, David Friedman.
Thank you.
This is a statement from the DRB Library Board. The Board of Trustees of the Darwin Barker Library would like to thank Jim Linden and fellow Village of Fredonia trustees for their consideration in the matter of the lease extension for the library. The extension will allow the library to qualify for a valuable grant from New York State to cover maintenance costs. Mark Butcher. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
There's no other correspondence. I will close the portion of this meeting. My report is very brief tonight. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of Fredonia High School graduates and all surrounding school graduates that graduated this past weekend. Congratulations and good luck in your future. I would also like to thank everybody who has worked to make downtown around the trees, the little squares, look much better, and in front of the storefronts that those trees also were in front. I kind of challenge right now, I would like to challenge businesses to keep up with the sidewalks and the flower boxes and basically the fronts of their businesses to help promote people going to their businesses. So thank you to everybody who's involved. There's a lot of volunteers, a lot of volunteer materials along with that. This is to the board. We have not had a treasurer since Jim Sedota left March 31st. Can you tell me where you are in this process to hire a treasurer and when one might be placed? I'd like to get our staff in order here, and if anybody would like to answer that or respond to that during their portion, I'd appreciate it. That is all I have. Trustee Christina, do you have a report?
I don't have a report. I just like to say in regards to the squares around the trees on Main Street. I love the idea. Thank you to the Buchanans who did the stones with the students' names on them. And I think it would be cool if we did that every year, if someone did that every year. The graduating students could have a stone with their name and painted, and then it could be like a nice memento. So I just want to thank them for doing that. That was really nice. Had a planning board meeting last week that was interesting, and I think there's some great discussion about the comprehensive plan. and ways to get people to submit some, we talked about different ways to get people to submit some suggestions and feedback. I think that's great. So that was a good meeting, and another big part of the meeting was a discussion about how to incorporate, do we want to incorporate, how would we incorporate working with the town, which I think is an essential discussion that we must have, because I don't think we can do things separately. I think we have to find a way to work together with the town, so that was good conversation. And also to address Mr. Fridman's concern about participation. Would it be possible to share the information for how to connect via Zoom or phone to the public? No, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's possible.
Just for everybody to know.
Sure.
That might be difficult for me because that would be multiple people coming in.
Okay.
And that would be very hard for me to control that with people we have on our Zoom meeting who are important, you know, like
right.
The people are calling in. So a different option might be a phone, setting up a phone or having a phone call come in.
Like a speaker phone or something?
Speaker
okay.
phone of some sort
yeah.
like that. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
So just
yeah, but I think that would be, I think that's important. I think we need to think about doing that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Trustee Linden.
I was just that same comment about the meetings. Would have been my suggestion. It would be to do a phone in kind of thing, if possible. If they could, maybe through the clerk's office, and the clerk can then put them on speakerphone, something like that. I mean, I don't know if it can be done, if it would work well, but I think maybe that might be at least helpful, if they could then talk live that way. I don't have any other reports. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Linden. Trustee Fritz.
A couple of quick things. Again, I want to say congratulations to the class of 2020. It was a challenging year for them, and a lot of those students have bright futures ahead of them, and we look forward to our young residents moving out into the world. Good luck and congratulations. I want to tell the trustees that talks are going to start resuming again with the fire department, both the volunteers and the paid. We've got Trustee Pecos and I are going to have some meetings coming up with those two departments here shortly, so we're going to update you on some information on that. And I had one other thing tonight. I was part of a conference call today with Chief Walker, myself, and Tony. Let me pull up my notes here real quick. It was in conjunction with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the Office of General Services. They were putting together information regarding our floodplain that had to do with Canada-Way Creek. Apparently the governor is collecting information regarding our problem that we have with Canada-Way Creek and Canada-Way Creek and the flooding. And Tony, myself, and the chief gave them the information regarding Water Street and the problems we have with the flooding that goes on yearly. It was a really good conversation. Tony can pop in whenever he wants to, and I know Chief Walker had some pictures that we submitted to the New York State DEC for part of their presentation to the governor. Now what they do with this information is they're going to compile it, and then from there they put together a package that would help figure out the costs of fixing that issue, and then from there they turn it back over to the municipality that can be used for future grants and work with the state on resolving issues in our flooding. So I wanted to pass that on to you guys, and it was a very good conversation, and they were very pleased with the information they received from us. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Fritz. Trustee Pecos.
Regarding your question on the treasurer, I guess I'd also like to know when we're going to move forward on that, as we do not have a treasurer. We have basically we have a senior account clerk who's our deputy treasurer, and I think we need to act on that. So whether we need to have a discussion or whatever, I would suggest that happens sooner than later. I'd also like to congratulate our seniors from Fredonia High School. As somebody who was involved with the planning and execution of many senior activities throughout my career, I know they didn't get everything that past classes have gotten, but hopefully, I know the staff did the best they could, given the constraints. And that kind of falls into these meetings too. I think we're doing the best we can, given the constraints we have. If there's a way of improving, maybe we can do that, but unfortunately, right now, there's only so much we can do. And then, as Trustee Britz mentioned, we'll be meeting with the fire department next week.
Thank you, Trustee Batchon.
Yes, I'd like to start out by thanking Chief Maslock for placing that no parking sign on Seymour Street so quickly. By 8 o'clock the next morning, it was there, and I had gotten a call from the resident. I tried to get a hold of you, Phil, but you were on vacation, which I hope you had a great time. But thank you very much for doing that so quickly.
Thank you.
Also, I would like to respond to your question regarding the treasurer position. I kind of, in my mind, and maybe it's just it was just in my mind, but I thought that the 90 days with Baggett and Laredo was kind of our timeline in which we would spend that time, and Alyssa would spend time with Baggett and Laredo, and that we would wait until that time drew nearer to the end before we took an action. But that is coming. I mean, it's a couple of weeks away. It's, I think, 6 weeks away. So we probably should begin to formulate an action there in regard to a treasurer. Also, I would like to invite all the department heads to join us at our meetings, our village board meetings. I enjoy the department heads who do participate, but there are a few smiling faces that we miss. I like getting the emails and updates from Chris and Sean, but I would like to invite them to attend these meetings as well. And when a treasurer is appointed, to invite the treasurer, so that it may come to a point where we might want to include department head reports in our workshop agendas, maybe divided up so that a couple one week in one meeting and a couple on the next, so that they actually have a time in which they can address the public and a set time in which they can make their comments and have their input. I think that's important, and that's just a suggestion. In regard to the correspondence we received tonight from Mr. Friedman about the budget, this has been a concern of mine as well as we look at some of the businesses who have now announced that they're closing. We've lost 4, to my knowledge, within village limits recently that have announced that they're closing their doors, and we are sorry to see them go and wish them well. But the budget certainly is of concern to us, and Mr. Friedman brought up some good points. If you saw Governor Cuomo's noontime press conference today, that very topic came up in a brief discussion about borrowing through bond to cover any expenses that unforeseen or potential revenue losses as a proactive financial move. Something we might want to have a discussion about. We certainly are in a good rating. We're a rated AAA village at this time. Interest rates are extremely low, and although I am not one would say borrow for the sake of borrowing, it may be something we might want to consider with the latest sales tax revenues. Mayor, did you tell me it was down over 40%?
That's correct, 47% from the same period last year from the county.
And I don't see that. I mean, I see it maybe stabilizing, but I see other factors such as the businesses that are closing and the fact that the college may not return to us in the fall, and school may not return to, public school may not return to us as we know it in the fall as well. There are many variables of unknown, and I think we need to have a very serious discussion very soon about the review of our budgets and any further expenditures and how we cover that. That's my
I have a question. Yeah, thank you. So when we did the budget, pre-COVID, and there were time-sensitive contracts that I put purchase orders in for under state contract for, vehicle replacements and all that, and it was approved. The vendors, thank God, have been very patient, as I am too. I mean, I thoroughly get this. I've been in business most of my life. Do I pursue with Alyssa or whoever's in charge of finance getting some of this equipment ordered? Because like the plow truck and a couple other pieces of equipment are a year out to build, and the indebtedness wouldn't come in your current budget year.
Yeah, but we still have to.
That would have been within the budget to.
I would say that all expenditures like that right now, Tony, are on hold until we can get a quarterly review of the budget and we can get a hold of, I would say, any large expenditures, any capital expenditures really need to be on hold.
I agree.
And Alyssa's kind of been doing that.
No, that's great. I just wanted clarity because there's a lot of confusion. So the vendors are fine with that, but I needed to get answers from you, and I appreciate that honesty.
Great, thank you, Tony.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, I think we're holding steady right now, but I mean, 6 months from now is, even a year from now is a big concern.
And when we approved this budget, we talked about quarterly reviews. We have quarterly, our first quarter will be next month, or August.
Yeah.
And we need to stick to that. We need to review that and see where we're at. And I would recommend that there be no expenditures until we have a good grasp on that. Large expenditures.
Agreed.
Well, I concur. What about regular budget?
We're watching you, Tony.
Pardon
me? We're watching you, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm watching me more than you are.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, I mean, we have these concerns with our budget. We also been having some concerns with our project too. Right. And we looked into where we were bonding wise because the state has been freezing payments on payments to vendors. Just so everybody knows, we are very good where we're at with our bonding cap. We're only 8.5% of our bonding cap. So if we ever have to bond in the future for many different things, we can. So our bonding ability is there, just to let everybody know.
Well, yeah, while we have a good, that's good, while those numbers are good, this might be the time to consider.
Exactly.
Well, this is where we're going to open up the budget, take a look at it.
Right.
Exactly.
And then we're going to figure out what we need. And if we
Right.
do have to go out to bond, we're prepared to do it.
Yep.
Are you all aware of the phone meeting? Anne Marie, back me up on this. We have a meeting with EFC relative to the emergency water line project coming up
Thursday.
And we set on July 1st at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Right, and a lot of problems are going on with the EFC right now with the governor basically putting handcuffs on the release of funds to projects already approved. And contractors, like the contractor that was doing the initial work on our current upgrade of the water plant, Candy Corporation, have not been paid for 5 months worth of work. So it's a very scary time. And yes, so depending on how that phone conference goes, I don't know. At the very least, if things are postponed much longer, there may have to be a resolution extending the change order resolution for the time frame that was originally awarded them. Things are a mess everywhere, but
We'll have more information after.
We can do that, yeah. We'll keep track of that.
all right, thank you.
Anything else, Trustee Vashon?
No, thank you.
I just wanted there's a couple minor things I forgot. If you look around you, we did some sprucing up of the paint in our trustees room there to make it look a little more appealing. And we are working on putting the proper sneeze guards and so forth and so on in our court system, so when that opens up, they will be properly protected. Both the public and our employees will be protected, and we do have a opening plan, but that's still up to the state to determine when we're all brought back full time. I just want to add that. All right, reports, please. Anne Marie?
I have a code enforcement report for the month of April 2020. Building permits issued 1, inspections 1, certificates of occupancy 1, and fees collected, I have permit fees $75 and total fees collected $7,500. It might be a typo, I'm not sure.
It is.
Chuck
That'd be a typo, right?
It's $75.
Okay.
That's just so
the-
everybody
the-
knows,
the
that's,
per-
I'm sorry.
So the permits generated for the month were $75 revenue. The code enforcement month-end report for May 2020. Permits issued 52, inspections 50, certificates of occupancy 39, certificates of compliance 12, violations found 16, violations satisfied 15, permit fees $4,054, rental fees $55, zoning variances $200, fees collected $4,309, rental renewals 5, junk car property maintenance found 14, removed or 56 property maintenance inspections, removed 55 property maintenance, and 7 junk cars removed. Stop work orders were 2, 52 permits generated $4,054, and the estimated cost of the work for the month of May, is that correct, Tony? $656,000, 628?
That is correct.
Okay. Fredonia Fire Department for the month of May.
Hang on 1 second. What does that mean? The estimated cost of work for this month, $656,000.
When you come in for, fill out a building permit, you tell us what the cost is gonna be, and that's what it added up to, all the work that was done.
So there's $650,000 of improvements going on in our village.
Yes. For those 2 weeks in May. I mean, that only reflected 2 weeks because we were closed down for most of it. Whatever, on every building permit application, I have to have an estimated cost for the state. And if you give me the wrong one, and I don't believe that's what it is, then I give them my version of it, according to the state. The state gives me a chart on what single-family homes go by. That May report reflected the grant that Fit the Card Seed Building's doing, and that's a that was a $500,000 project, so that's why it's real high.
Kind of boost that number.
And this is also the number that the assessor uses.
Yep.
To determine.
Yeah, because in March, then he
assessed
contacts
value.
me and we worked through that together.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have the Fredonia Fire Department report for the month of May 2020. Total fire 4, rescue and EMS 101, service calls 5, good intent calls 7, false alarm and false call 14, for a grand total of 131. And that's all the reports.
Thank you. Would you please read the correspondence please, that we received?
Yes. I received a letter of resignation. Dear Mayor Essick and Board of Trustees, please accept this as formal notice of my resignation of the Village of Fredonia Justice position effective Friday, June 26, 2020. Due to health issues, I am no longer able to fulfill the position. I have enjoyed my tenure as Village Justice and wish the village and my successor continued success in the future. Sincerely, David A. Prince.
Okay, folks, this is something that we'll be acting on at our next meeting. We currently have Justice Nancy Dietzen filling in for him, which she currently will. And we'll be looking at somebody to be an associate justice during the time period up to elections, where that position will have to be an elected position, just so everybody understands that. So, this letter of resignation is kind of something that just can move forward, so we'll act on that at the next meeting. We'll start our resolutions, please.
Whereas the village's lease with the Darwin R. Barker Library expires on November 21st, 2026, and whereas Darwin R. Barker Library has requested the lease to be extended to 2030 to permit the library to be eligible for state funding. Therefore, be it resolved, the village's lease with the Darwin R. Barker Library is hereby extended to November 21st, 2030 under its current terms.
I'll second that.
The motion is second. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Pina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Fritz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
We table.
Trustee Fritz, you're the next one.
Well, do we read the resolution and I make a motion to table it?
Do we have to, or do we just table?
I think we
don't
can
have
just
to.
skip it.
You want to just go ahead and table it?
Yep, so go to the festivals.
Mayor, we wish to table the resolution regarding the installation of the 4 street lights located at the Madison Street Bridge, so we can get further information from them and possibly look at an alternative source of lighting.
Okay, there's been a motion to table that. Is there a second?
I would second that.
A motion and a second to table that resolution. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Pina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Fritz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. Motion to table that resolution.
Whereas Festivals Fredonia, Inc. desires to hold a classic car parade on July 6th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And whereas the proposed parade route will begin at the DNF Plaza, travel down Central Avenue to Temple Street, then down Temple Street to the corner of Temple and Main Street, where the parade will disperse. And whereas Festivals Fredonia, Inc. has requested that the Fredonia Police escort the parade from the plaza through the village with portions of Central Avenue to be closed as necessary. Therefore, be it resolved, the village hereby authorizes the Fredonia Police Department to escort the classic car parade on its route and close portions of Central Avenue as necessary for the parade to pass.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I just have I have a question. The date is different than it is on the letter from Festivals Fredonia. On the letter, it says Friday, July 10th for the car parade. On the resolution, it says the 6th.
Is that a typo, Ann? Do you know?
That's why I questioned it earlier.
I'm sorry. I did not write it, but it looks like it might be.
I think it should be the 10th, right?
Yes.
Not the 6th.
Sorry, I guess I didn't catch that. I apologize.
Okay, would Trustee Fritz and Pecos like to make a motion and a second with that amendment?
I would like to change the date to July 10th, according to their letter.
And I'll second that as amended.
There's been a motion and a second to accept that resolution as amended. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Fritz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried.
Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of the various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstract number 531 is hereby approved and directed paid.
Second that resolution.
The motion is second. The resolution is in further discussion. Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Fritz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Carried. Is there anything for the good of the order?
At this time, I'd like to make a resolution to, or pass a resolution to close tonight's meeting, or make a motion.
Second.
With a motion to adjourn, is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you. And a motion and a second to adjourn. Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Fritz?
Yes.
Trustee Pecos?
Yes.
Trustee Bashaw?
Yes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.
Nice.
You too. Thank you.
What are you ordering for a sub?